Chase vicious murderers and criminals like you.
And be careful. Remember what happened the last time you tried to mess with me, Hidalgo.
And I'm not going anywhere.
Rafaela, you have to understand.
Don't you dare bail out on me.
I'm going to make sure that Mariela gets back everything that you and your family stole from her.
Father Daniel is still in a coma. What? He's fighting for his life. Nevertheless, his condition is critical.
I have an agent that's starting to tie loose ends together, and sooner or later, it will lead him to something. If that happens, we go to jail.
Well, in that case, make sure he won't find anything.
Lying heart.
Keep abreast of the developments live from the National Assembly and the Senate.
On our members of Parliament.
The questions.
When is the construction expected to commence?
The motions.
Beg to give notice of the following motion.
The debate.
Will as many as one opinion say aye?
The statements.
A statement on an issue of general topical concern.
The petitions.
Order number 4, petitions.
Stay tuned to KBC Channel 1 and Radio Taifa for live proceedings from both houses of Parliament from Tuesday to Thursday. Live, uncensored, unedited. KBC, your national broadcaster.
Ili kupata huo ni upendo, kama sikiza tune kwenye simu yako, bonyeza *811 *817#.
Sio lazima uwe na hela nyingi ama uwe tajiri mkubwa, uwe na fedha nyingi ndio uweze kumsaidia mtu. Hapana, kidogo utakachopata ama kidogo ulichonacho, mgawie. Mfanye mwingine pia afurahie. Umpatie tabasamu.
Kupata huo ni upendo, kama sikiza tune, bonyeza *811 *817#. *811 *817#.
Ndio ona ni mzazi ndio. Uingie utoke utakavyo.
Kwa nini ntipilia huko na barua yangu? Maya si ulipata yako?
Na sikuipenda.
Mali unazo wewe ama yeye?
Lakini yeye ndio baba yetu.
Sisi tutaka mali zote.
Naweza kuamua nisiwape.
Utaji msaada wako.
Mimi badi nikusaidie wewe.
Are you an aspiring candidate in the upcoming general elections? Do you want your agenda and manifesto to reach your voters effectively? At KBC, we have the most comprehensive and credible online platform that has profiles of all prospective candidates. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants and let Kenyans know more about you, your past achievements, your manifesto, and your development agenda once you get elected to office. What's more, the website is easy to navigate. We will create your profile, post pictures and short videos with your campaign messages at affordable hosting fees. Log on to www.kbc.co.ke/2022 aspirants today and establish your brand authority as we lead towards the forthcoming general elections.
It's 1 p.m. East African time. Good afternoon. This is KBC Lunchtime News. Glad you could make the time. We have a comprehensive bulletin right here, and you can be part of the conversation via all our social media platform. This is what is making headlines in Kenya. My name is Njue, and Susan Thuku will be our sign language interpreter for this live newscast. We begin with the government, which has reassured Laikipia residents of its commitment to restore peace in the area. This follows mounting tension of cases of banditry attacks within Kithiga ward in Laikipia County. Laikipia County Commissioner Joseph Kanyiri called on the residents to remain patient as the government looks into ways of dealing with the criminals who have been terrorizing them in the recent past.
Speaking at Village 18 area in Ngara Division, where he led senior security officers in a tour to assess the situation, the county commissioner said that no one had a right to displace others, calling on residents to stay put and not to vacate. This comes as a section of residents started fleeing their homes for fear of attacks.
Hakuna mtu atahamishwa kwake na yeyote Kenya hii. Unaelewa? Na ile utafuatilia.
He at the same time noted that the government has initiated talks with the management of Laikipia Nature Conservancy in an effort to create a buffer zone at the border with the neighboring communities.
Kwa sasa, kwa ushirikiano wetu na county government ya Laikipia, tumepata kifaa ambacho kitawekwa kwa hizo machine, wasimamie na mtaro ufunguliwe kila mahali unakostahili kufunguliwa.
The residents have, however, been urged to collaborate and partner with the security agencies to tackle security challenges in order to make it easy in restoring normalcy.
Tumeongeza officers kambi hii, vifaa waweze kutembea na waweze kuwa karibu na nyinyi, muweze kuwapa habari, muweze kuwasikiza, waweze kuwasikiza ili tusaidiane hii shida.
Hii watu ambao nasumbua nyinyi hapa, mnawajua. Hiyo watu ni mzuri. Elezea hawa security operators ambao wako hapa ili tuweze kushirikiana nyinyi tukamate hawa watu.
Jacqueline Masharia for Lunchtime News.
Until on security matters, a section of leaders in Isiolo County have condemned the recent killings in Areimit area in the region. The leaders called on the government to launch investigations into the recent killings and to bring the culprits to book as calls for heightened securities rent the air.
Mtu alikufa jana, hajasiku hata saa hii nikiwa hapo nilikuwa naongea, mtu yuko Barambati. Maiti hiyo mtu ameshindwa kuchukua. Serikali hapana wajibika, viongozi hapana wajibika.
The security labs in Isiolo has seen a section of leaders in Isiolo County led by Benedict Wandeto, Secretary General Communist Party of Kenya, calling on security agencies to ensure that justice is served for all.
The deaths that have occurred hapa Isiolo, hatuwezi kubali iendelee. And investigations must be done. Wako na intelligence, wako na polisi, vile walishika vijana wa bodaboda Kenya nzima kwa sababu ya uhalifu ambao ilifanywa na mtu mmoja huko Nairobi. Wanafaa mobilize hizo security forces, ziende huko Merti, zikuje hapa Isiolo, zishike hao wahalifu.
He issued an ultimatum to the security officers to ensure that within 7 days, the perpetrators of recent killings are brought to book. According to Wandeto, if no action is taken against the thugs, the killings will continue in many other parts of the country and many will end up losing their lives.
These thugs, whether wako politically motivated, whatever they did, they must be investigated na lazima washikwe na sheria ichukue mkondo wake.
He urged area leaders to pursue avenues that will ensure the conflicting communities coexist peacefully. They also urged relevant authorities to beef up security in the region.
And still keeping tabs with the security situation in the country, the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security has taken issue with failure by Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i to appear before the committee this morning to address the issue of insecurity in Laikipia, Baringo, Isiolo and Samburu counties. Departmental Committee on Administration and National Security Chairperson Peter Mwathi faulted the Cabinet Secretary for failing to delegate the matter to other relevant officials in the ministry if for any reason he couldn't honor the invite. In a letter addressed to the committee this morning, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i said he couldn't appear before the committee after being summoned by President Uhuru Kenyatta to discuss matters touching on the supplementary budget.
A police officer worked for over 25 years, died in the line of duty, and still his pension is not paid, Chair. What are we trying to show? That we do not care for the police officers, whether they live or die? It is just the big people we are worried about? Chair, that is completely wrong. I want a written answer if I can get.
In totality, I have attended this committee waiting for this answer 7 times. Surely, Chair, that if that one is not being ruled from the side of the CS, then I don't know what rudeness means. Because then why don't they just give us a written answer so that I can peruse and accept, or then ask the supplementary questions?
And that a letter be written to the CS with a schedule of all these questions and statements not answered, and with instruction that these answers should come to us in writing, first and foremost by Monday next week, and that the CS must appear before the committee on Tuesday.
And from that report, let's now cross over where the Director General of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth, is leading the National Maternal, Infant and Young Child Nutrition Symposium. He's currently addressing the meeting.
Enabling legislation or enabling strategies, the Kenya Health Strategic Plan 2018-2023, the Kenya Nutrition Action Plan 2018-2022, the Kenya Primary Healthcare Strategic Framework 2019-2024, the Kenya Community Health Policy 2020-2030, the Breast Milk Subsidies Act 2012 and related regulations, just to name but a few. Further, the ministry has disseminated the policies, guidelines and legislations to the counties in order to ensure standardized quality health services. Noting that maternal, infant and young child nutrition interventions also require sustained social and behavior change, the ministry has continued to strengthen the community health strategy. Through the ongoing rollout of universal health coverage, which is premised on a primary health care approach, the strong emphasis on health promotion and health prevention. This is a key pillar of the Big Four agenda. The ministry has supported counties to reactivate and operationalize most of the community health units. The health promotion and health prevention aspects of universal health care or universal health coverage under the premise of primary health care ages is basically premised on strong community participation. So the use of community health workers and community health volunteers so that the people can be able to take charge of their health and therefore demand from us, players in the health sector, the services that they require to ensure that they live a healthy lifestyle. In order to enhance social and behavior change in regard to maternal, infant and young child nutrition, the ministry is promoting baby-friendly community initiative, which is a community-based approach for empowering communities to promote, protect, and support breastfeeding, appropriate complementary feeding and maternal nutrition, environmental sanitation, and hygiene. All those are totally in sync with our approach towards universal health coverage, with emphasis on health promotion and health prevention, and the community at the core in terms of the interventions. In counties where the community health volunteers and health workers have been trained on baby-friendly community initiative, the community health volunteers and workers in turn train households on baby-friendly community initiative and facilitate the formation of community support groups to influence change and uphold positive behaviors in maternal, infant, and young child nutrition. Conspicuously, the prevailing drought has adversely affected the most vulnerable groups, especially children under 5 years of age, pregnant and lactating women, as we have seen these reports in the media. The most notable impact includes interruption of breastfeeding and poor complementary feeding practices, resulting in increased risk of malnutrition, illness, and mortality. According to the
Director General of Health, Dr. Patrick Amoth there, live from the Safari Park Hotel during the Maternal, Infant and Child Nutrition Symposium, where he has talked about some of the steps that the government is taking in supporting county governments to actualize the Big Four agenda, not to mention maternal health. The symposium key agenda is to share evidence, of course, with other stakeholders. Primary objection focus on complementary feeding, and stakeholders will share research findings in that platform as well. Of course, we have a much comprehensive or detailed report in our next bulletin at 4, 7 and 9. Elsewhere, a total of 95 gaming machines worth 2.8 million shillings have been destroyed in Kericho County. Speaking after leading the exercise at Kericho Police Station, Kericho County Commissioner Kamau Karungo said the illegal machines were impounded in Anaimoi, Ngoina Road, Brook and Sondu.
The county commissioner said the government will not allow illegal business in the county, calling on those who have been operating to quit and do genuine business.
Mara kwa mara tumekuwa tukielezea wananchi na kuwatangazia mambo ya roto wasahau. Haitakuwa ni hapa Kericho. Kericho tunataka iwe roto free zone, kwa sababu hakuna mtu yote ambaye ameshai kutajirika kwa kucheza roto. Na roto tunasema imeleta shida katika maboma mingi, maboma zimeporomoka.
The county commissioner said members of the public have suffered a lot as a result of the gaming machines, with women being the most affected.
Kwa sababu unakuta hata mama anatumwa na mzee aende sokoni akanunue mboga na unga, lakini akikuta hizo machines anafikiria akicheza hiyo pesa itaongezeka, afanye shopping yake na baki na balance. Lakini mwisho anakuta hata hiyo pesa yote imepotea yote.
He at the same time ordered the police officers to smoke out all the legal betting machines in the county.
Kwa hivyo tumesema na tunaambia our security officers wasichoke, waweke bidii ili tuhakikishe kwamba area yote ambayo loto zinachezwa zimeangamizwa. Siku ya leo tunachoma roto 95 na hizi zimekusanywa katika sehemu mbalimbali. Zimetoka area Ainamoi, area Ngoina Road, area Brook, as far as upande wa Sondu kupakana na Kisumu.
Jelis Aladi for Lunchtime News.
In other news, Kenya Human Rights Commission KHRC now wants aspirants with unresolved integrity issues barred from vying in the forthcoming general election. The KHRC wants the relevant institutions to crack the whip and uphold integrity among aspirants. Speaking Monday, the Commission said it is unfair for citizens to be duped into electing leaders who have not only failed to effectively manage public resources under their care, but also failed the integrity test. They threatened to go to court to block aspirants who have integrity issues from seeking elective positions should appointed institutions fail in their mandate.
As we speak, numerous integrity issues remain unresolved. Whereas, as a country, we have electoral systems and processes that are committed to ensuring free, fair, and credible polls outcomes, Kenyans are being denied the opportunity to weed out corrupt leaders and choose the best.
Sisi tutaomba wakati IEBC wanafanya vetting, waturuhusu sisi mashirika yasiyokuwa kiserikali tuwapatie hali halisi na ushahidi wa wale viongozi wote ambao watakuwa wanafanywa vetting, ili katiba yetu iweze kusimama na iweze kutoa mwongozo, kwa sababu tunawajua, sio siri, wako hadharani, wanajulikana na changamoto za ubadilifu wa fedha zinajulikana.
I think the first step was to get clarification from the institutions which are responsible, Ethics Commission, on what do we expect from them and from other agencies about this process. And then that was now the clarification and the process we thought we were going to use to hold them to account.
Now, when watching news on television, like right now, the viewer may not exactly know what is involved in the process, meaning that the whole process of news gathering. In this week's episode of The Process, you will learn one or two things about different stages of television news production, the tools of trade, and the profiles of key professionals involved in the process. Nisi Mano with that story.
Television news production is a complex process in which different professionals and machines interact in order to bring the story alive. The first stage in the TV news production process is the pre-production. This stage involves general preparations, idea generation, and research.
As soon as I get to the office, you check the newsroom diary to see if there's a diary of events, like what is planned during the day, and if there are events to be covered maybe.
In this case, the news editor assigns the reporter the news story to execute for the day.
So what happens is you're given an assignment, you go for a brief at the editor's desk, basically telling you this is what's happening, the 5 W's and H, what is happening, where is it happening, who are the main speakers and everything, and possibly a number of questions that may help you do the story well.
He then goes to the head of electronic news gathering, who assigns a camera person to accompany him on the assignment. Once that is done, the reporter and the cameraman proceed to the parking lot for transport. Here, the necessary logistics have been coordinated by the logistic or assignment editor. The journey begins. Sometimes hitches happen. But nonetheless, the story must be told Alternative plans are quickly put in place, and the crew is well on their way to execute the assignment. Once the reporter is on location and the setup is done, the actual shooting and recording begins. Once the guest has been interviewed, the reporter heads back to the newsroom and straight to the news editor for a debrief session.
So what is there? What is there?
After that, the reporter gets down to scripting the story. The script then goes to the editor for sub-editing. Here, the editor checks and corrects the script within context and writes necessary headlines and captions. The script can now go for translation to have it translated into Swahili for the purpose of the 7 p.m. Swahili Bulletin. And depending on the substance of the script, the editor can decide to make the new story a straight cut, requiring no voice-over, like in our case today. Or a package, meaning the reporter is expected to voice the script in the sound booth.
Speaking at a political rally in Bomet East constituency.
Once that is done, the reporter goes to the video edit suite, where he sits with a video editor to edit the story. Once done, the straight cut and the package are then sent to the transmission server. As the news presenter or anchor gets ready for the news bulletin, editors develop the running order, which is the lining up of the news items depending on the strength of the news of the day. This is done in consultation with the news producer on duty.
Before any production starts on the hour, we are the people who process the news before the bulletin starts.
I liaise with my editors on the desk. I follow up on the reporters in the field. I know who is where, doing what, and what story that is coming to us, so that we can include it in our running order. And is everything ready from the anchor, from the scripts, from the clips, so that you have our production.
Meanwhile, those in charge of news transmission studio are busy getting ready, headed by the news director.
Stand by, stand by, stand by. In 3, 2, 1, cut. On air.
Bila shaka ni fahari yetu kuwa hapa kukupasha yaliyojiri humu.
Generally, my work entails liaising with sub-editors, video editors, reporters, anchors in studio. So when I come here at the gallery, as you can see the backdrop of my background, my work entails coordinating with the technical guys, making sure the sound is good of the anchor who's in studio. Lighting is perfect. And then my shots at studio, they have to be the correct shots that I want to use for it to go on air.
Kundi hilo kwa jina Hapo Vipi limesema ni muhimu kwa Rais Uhuru Kenyatta, naibu wake William Ruto na kiongozi wa.
And that is what is involved in TV news production.
As a national broadcaster, we here at KBC pride ourselves in being able to provide news that is fast, credible, it is factual, it is informative, and it is educative. Reporting from the KBC studios in Nairobi, Amnesty Emmanuel.
Quite interesting, right? And do you know the most important person in all of the news gathering is you, the viewer, because we do all that and all agencies to ensure that you get the news once actually they happen. And right now, my director, Mugo Karaoke, is speaking me through this. He's telling me that me and my sign language interpreter, Susan Thuku, need to take a break. But before we do that, Mugo, allow me to just touch on one or two of our viewers. Doris Kutu, you say you're watching. Governor Kilush, watching from Ngeria Eldoret. Ombiri Steve from Liwa Town. Elshak Kush, you say congratulations. I think it's because of a KCPE or that news article. Famco H, clear views. Okay, there are quite many. Let's have that break. I will be sampling others before we are done with this bulletin.
wewe ni mzazi, ndio? Uingie utoke utakavyo.
Kwani ntipilia huko na barua yangu? Maya, si ulipata yako?
Na sikuipenda. Mali unazo wewe ama yeye?
Lakini yeye ndio baba yetu. Sisi tutaka mali zote. Naweza kuamua nisiwape.
Utaji msaada wako.
Mimi badi nikusaidie wewe.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
Chase vicious murderers and criminals like you, and be careful. Remember what happened the last time you tried to mess with me, Hidalgo.
And I'm not going anywhere.
Rafaela, you have to understand.
Don't you dare bail out on me.
I'm going to make sure that Mariela gets back everything that you and your family stole from her.
Father Daniel is still in a coma. What? He's fighting for his life. Nevertheless, his condition is critical.
I have an agent that's starting to tie loose ends together, and sooner or later, it will lead him to something. If that happens, we go to jail. Well, in that case, make sure he won't find anything.
Lying heart. Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
Do you have a news story to share with KBC? Get in touch swiftly on email news@kbc.co.ke or call 0723-892-654 or 0734-780-124.
Welcome back and thanks for keeping it KBC. And let's move on, where Joel Junior Musyoka Njeru from Nyangwa Primary School in Mbeere South, Embu County, who emerged position 4 countrywide, said his dream school is Lenana High. Njeru, who is the top public school candidate, says he would like to join the University of Nairobi to pursue law studies and become the Chief Justice of Kenya. He noted that COVID-19 was not a challenge to him as he worked harder while at home. His mother, Nancy Ngidi, described him as a self-driven child who could not shy from seeking guidance from his teachers.
Nilikuwa nimetarajia 427 hapo, depending on how my composition and insha ningesaishiwa. Njia kwenda Lenana. Ningependa kuwa wakili nitakapomaliza masomo yangu katika chuo kikuu, kisha niwe hakimu, alafu baadaye naweza kuwa hakimu mkuu au jaji mkuu katika nchi.
Na anajua mimi hata kama mimi niko hivyo nilivyo, ni mtu wa kufuata nidhamu, na so umesikia mimi ni mwalimu, kwa hivyo ninatoa walimu shuleni na wileta mpaka nyumbani ili atie na atii na afanye kadri kuwa tunaweka hata timetable, ratiba ya kufanya kazi hata nyumbani. Anajua vyombo anaosha hata kama anasoma.
Tunashukuru Mwenyezi Mungu. Jasho je baba, si kwa sababu ya woga, lakini kwa sababu ya kuchangamka, kwa sababu ya Bwana. Tumekuwa tukifurahia Bwana kwa sababu ya ushindi wa kiajabu ambao tumepokea hapa kama jamii, kama shule hii ya Nyangwa. Walimu wote wamefurahi, wazazi pia wamefurahi.
Ile kijana amefanya, tulikuwa tunatarajia hayo kwa sababu tumetia bidii tangu corona iingie na turudi hapa. Tumekuwa tukifanya kazi kwa bidii, tukamaliza syllabus kwa mapema.
Congratulations to him, and also to Kobia Leon Mureithi, who scored 417 marks. Joel Michelle Wanjiru, who scored 410. They are from the same county, that is the county of Embu, St. Petrock Premier school. And still on KCPE, a Kitale primary school pupil who was abducted by unknown people during the COVID-19 pandemic has beaten all odds to shine at this year's KCPE examination, scoring 409 marks. Josephine Chebet had to go extensive psychological counseling after the ordeal, after the incident, and beat the mental stress to perform in the national examinations. Friends and family came together to congratulate the candidate on her outstanding performance. Take a look.
Celebrations engulfed this BD area homestead in Kitale following the exemplary performance of Josephine Chebet, who despite an abduction ordeal in the hands of unknown people and the trauma that followed, beat the odds to score 409 out of the possible 500 marks in the national examinations. Also, there was song and dance in Ravine Greenview Academy in Baringo County after over 20 candidates scored over 400 marks. The private school released the results registering an exemplary performance as opposed to the public schools in the region that have witnessed cases of insecurity in the recent past. In Samburu County, teachers, pupils and parents in Maralal town celebrated victory of the county's top pupil in the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education examinations. Mark Kariuki was the best pupil in Samburu County after scoring 418 marks in KCPE at Maralal Primary School.
Kutia bidii kwa sababu everything is possible and hard work pays and it never goes unrewarded.
And academies in Kisii County have excelled yet again, with the Limu Academy's top students scoring a total of 416 marks. According to the director Andrew Nserio, the school presented 73 candidates, with 16 of them posting over 400 marks and the last one scoring 339 marks. In Mandera County, Hamdi Abikar from Al Huda Mixed Primary School in Mandera County has beaten the odds to lead the boys, unlike the previous years where it was a boys' affair. Abikar scored 405 marks, making her the top candidate in the county.
Ningewahimiza wanafunzi wenzangu ambao wanaingia darasa la 8 mwaka ujao watie bidii zaidi ili waweze kufua dafu.
Congratulations to all those who did their KCPE. And still on more KCPE celebrations, primary schools across the country continue to celebrate excellent KCPE results day 2 after the Education Cabinet Secretary released them yesterday. Our reporter Ruth Wamboi takes a close look at some of the jubilation moments from pupils, teachers and even parents from across the country.
In Nairobi, St. Mary's Ruaraka School emerged among the top schools in the city after 37 candidates scored over 400 marks. Visitors Nganga Nyambura of Hillcrest, Kiambu emerged top of the school with 415 marks.
It was a shocker, so it caught me by surprise. I didn't expect.
I'm very happy for those marks. I thank God, my family members and everybody who has helped me, including our teachers.
And Sean Ajamal, who scored 416 marks at Tendercare Junior Academy in Komaroke Estate in Nairobi, wishes to join Mangu High School as the school ventures a lot in technology and future matters. It was all joy and celebration at PCA Ngenda Primary School in Gatundu South, a public school that managed to get good results during this year's KCPE results.
I would like to join Pangani Girls High School. It has always been my dream school and I've been working really hard to get there.
In Busia County, Esther Roche Kwerula has emerged as the best candidate in the KCPE with 423 marks. And in Isiolo County,
I'm proud of myself for what I've got, and I encourage the new candidates in the exams to work hard and they'll be proud of themselves.
In Machakos County,
daktari kwa sababu napenda vile madaktari wanafanya kazi yao
kwa sababu wanawatibu watu kwa upendo.
And parents and pupils of Bless Narok School and Narok County Academy in Narok County joined the rest of Kenyans in celebrating KCPE results that was released by Education CS George Magoha. The two schools produced top candidates in Narok County.
My dream school is Kenya High, and I'd like to go to that school and be a doctor in future.
Similar celebrations were witnessed at Mudasa School in Kisumu County and Mbale Shalom in Vihiga, which performed exemplary well.
We're really proud for what she has achieved. We thank God for this big achievement. We thank the Makini fraternity, and of course the entire family here who's been with.
Ruth Wamboy for Lunchtime News.
In business, the Ministry of Devolution and the European Union have commissioned a sweet potato plant in Migori County, making it the first of its kind in East African region. The 117 million shillings plant is expected to process over 100 tons of sweet potatoes daily, providing a ready market for the produce and help reduce post-harvest losses.
Kuria region produces about 0.3 million tons of sweet potatoes annually, with an estimated 6,500 farmers involved in the production. Migori is listed as the second largest producer of orange-fleshed sweet potatoes, with 11,300 hectares under the crop. Due to this, construction and opening of a sweet potato processing plant in the area is seen as a boost to potato farmers who have faced challenges securing a steady market for the farm produce. Acting Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Omalo says the plant is among 15 other projects across the country that the Devolution Ministry is facilitating to help realize food security and manufacturing agendas of the government.
There's huge potential in these county sweet potatoes. We want to see how we can work with the local community, local leadership, to do some value addition so that we create employment but also enhance food security.
Area leaders noted that farmers require assistance in processing of the food crop and hitches in the supply chain addressed. They say sweet potatoes have remained unattractive to small-scale farmers due to market challenges.
And this is also being replicated in other counties, in KC County, where we have a lot of bananas, the land of Matoke, and we want to see a similar banana processing plant being put up in KC and the division.
Hibak Said for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, underwriting losses in the general insurance business widened by more than 4 times to 6.34 billion shillings during the last 3 months of 2021. The Insurance Regulatory Authority attributes the huge and sustained underwriting losses to challenges experienced in the motor, private and motor commercial classes of insurance businesses after relaxation of the COVID-19 restriction.
The latest data from Insurance Regulatory Authority, IRA, shows that the industry's underwriting loss widened more than 4 times from 1.18 billion shillings reported in Q4 of 2020 to 6.34 billion shillings during a similar period in 2021. This was mainly attributed to increased loss ratios in motor private and motor commercial classes of insurance business due to relaxation of restrictions that had been imposed on travel due to COVID-19 pandemic. Motor private made an underwriting loss of 6.17 billion shillings, while motor commercial made an underwriting loss of 3.32 billion shillings. IRA says the industry could have made an underwriting profit of 3.15 billion shillings if the motor business was to be excluded. However, excluding the motor business would lead to a decline of 31% of overall general insurance business. The insurers reported claims incurred amounting to 70.14 billion shillings during the period. This was an increase of 22.3% of 57.36 billion shillings reported in the fourth quarter of 2020. The claims paid increased by 18.1% to 64 billion shillings compared to 54.19 billion shillings paid in quarter 4 of 2020. Medical, motor private and motor commercial had the highest amount of paid claims at 41.7%, 26.2% and 21% respectively of total industry paid claims under general insurance business. The data shows that insurance premiums grew 18.5% to 276.06 billion shillings. The Insurance Regulatory Authority has been pushing for a review of the current premium rates, which will increase the cost of insuring private and commercial vehicles. Caroline Jenga for Lunchtime News.
Elsewhere, customers of the liquidated Eurobank, Dubai Bank and Kenya Finance Bank will cumulatively receive 200 million shillings within the next 7 days from the Kenya Deposit Insurance Corporation as compensation for their deposits. KDIC says claimants will receive a maximum of 50,000 shillings, with all lenders required to deposit their assets and liabilities with the corporation in the next 1 year.
We shall be distributing over 200 million shillings to the depositors and creditors of these three institutions, where we shall have fully paid 97% of Eurobank depositors and creditors. This time we're also talking of creditors. We shall have also fully paid 93% of the Kenya Finance and 92% of Dubai Bank depositors and creditors. And indeed, this is in line with the cardinal principle of deposit insurance of protecting small, unsophisticated, and vulnerable depositors. So it's like we have paid all the small depositors and creditors their monies which were in these banks. Also coming up with an electronic data warehouse. Electronic data warehouse where we want all the data from the banks now to be deposited in that electronic data warehouse to ensure its integrity, accuracy, and timeliness. Because what we also breathe here is data. When we are assessing the risk, we have to get the correct data. So we are currently
Now, the Salaries and Remuneration Commission (SRC) is engaging hoteliers in Naivasha following the downgrade of the town from Tier 1 to 2. It has emerged that bed occupancy in the lakeside town has dropped by 85 to 35% following the review of the town's status. Here are the details of this and more in our corporate roundup.
Nakuru was ranked together with Mombasa, Kisumu and Nairobi, while Naivasha falls under the lower cluster. Last month, the state agency released new daily subsistence allowances for local travel and per diem rates for Nakuru after it was elevated into a city status. SRC Commissioner John Monyoncho says they were keen to resolve the current impasse that has also affected other towns like Malindi and Diani. Meanwhile, Faulu Bank has entered into a partnership with USAID-funded Feed the Future Kenya Crops and Dairy Market Systems activity to enhance access to finance for farmers across the country.
We look at whatever reason that led to a different categorization, because there was a reason. It was not only Naivasha that was given a different categorization. There were there were other areas. Malindi, for example, we have Diani and a few other areas that were in the same categorization. But it was also recognized that Naivasha is slightly different, and those other towns are slightly different, and that's why they were placed at the status of county headquarters. So all those will be taken into consideration.
We are committed to ensuring that the investments within Naivasha are protected. What we would want is a sustainable industry where growth is also guaranteed, and the financial players, the banks, can finance this area, knowing that in another 5, 10, and 20 years, the industry is headed for a growth trajectory.
The collaboration, which targets 12 counties, aims at supporting the development of sustainable agriculture as an economic engine. The partnership will allow growth of agriculture financing segment and enable training of at least 10,000 farmers on managing finances. Faulu Bank has earmarked 100 million for agriculture financing. Finally, Microsoft has announced the establishment of a research institute, the Microsoft Africa Research Institute, in Nairobi, that will focus on inventing new technologies to advance scientific knowledge in the field of computer science. MARI will forge new synergies between research, engineering, and product development to power globally relevant innovation. The institute will work closely with Microsoft East Africa and the ADC to forge strategic alliances and links with local academia to boost the country and region research capabilities in tech sphere, with 3 focus areas on health, work, and society.
The reason we wanted to set up the MARI is because Africa is a continent of innovation. The aim is to really create technologies that impact people's lives for the better.
So in the future of work pillar, we started by focusing on small and medium enterprises. And the reason we did this is because we know the contribution they have to our economies, not only Kenya, but other African economies, and apply scientific innovation when we're thinking around how to build technologies for SMEs in Kenya and in Africa.
Reporting for Lunchtime News, I am Teresa Mutai.
Trust me, she's harmless.
No. Wazi Buddha, see you baadaye.
Do not hurt that girl.
Wewe ni nani?
You don't feel the connection here.
I'd hate to lose you as a client.
They say eyes don't lie.
Get out.
Wewe, kama wanakusikia hapo. Fungua manipile na mlango.
Nikifungua natafuta ndio replace.
Mimi hiyo hainihusu. Hebu songa nipite. Songa. Songa. Come on.
Get out. Nani anataka mwasaliti kwa nyumba yake?
We apologize for that earlier hitch, but as I was saying, we have a new kid on the block as the Democratic Republic of Congo has officially joined the East African community after more than 2 years of lobbying, adding more than 90 million people to the regional trading bloc. President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is the chair of the Summit of East Africa Community Heads of State, has announced this during the 19th Extraordinary Summit of EAC Heads of State. President Kenyatta says the administration marks a momentous occasion in the region's integration process and will be a game changer in the inter-regional trade. DRC becomes the 7th member of the East African community. The World Bank Board of Executive Directors has approved a $180 million investment project financing loan in Morocco. This is to support resilient and sustainable agriculture by improving the quality of farm outputs in the country and helping smallholder farmers. Here are the details of this and much more from across Africa.
The funding will boost the resilient and sustainable water in agriculture project, aiming to enhance the governance of water in agriculture, improve the quality of irrigation services, and increase access to advisory services for irrigation technologies. It will uplift the agri-food sector, which is a major driver of economic and social development for Moroccan citizens, as it amounts to 21% of the GDP and accounts for nearly 39% of employment in rural areas. This project financing will also support the vital sector in alignment with the country's Green Generation Strategy, the National Water Plan, and the new development model. Meanwhile, as the war rages in Ukraine, impacts of rising food prices and shortages of staple crops are already being felt in the North Africa region. UN's International Fund for Agricultural Development has warned that if the situation continues, food and consumer good prices will go up every day, making global hunger and poverty escalate. The Middle East and Africa imports are more than half of their cereal supplies, like wheat from Russia and Ukraine, which will make citizens grapple with high food prices and shortages. Also, spikes in fertilizer prices have contributed to a rise in food prices by about 30%, making Africans dig deeper into their pockets. Finally, a new cross-river bridge funded and built by China has opened in mid-western Senegal's Fangjouni city, with a 1,600-kilometer route connecting the two sides of the Salmin River. The project will help lift trade in the country, as it connects essential routes along the business centers. Also, it is an embodiment of China's active implementation of the 10 major programs to boost China-Africa cooperation, which was launched in 2015. Aiming to drive African countries' cooperation with China in the fields of industry, agriculture, infrastructure construction, finance, green development, and poverty alleviation.
In sports, national men and women's beach volleyball teams clinched bronze medals in the just concluded Commonwealth Games qualifiers at the La Boma Beach Resort in Accra, Ghana. However, the two sides missed out on the sole gender tickets to the games set for Birmingham, United Kingdom later this year. Despite losing their respective semis, the teams bounced back to settle for bronze. The women's pair of Naomi Tor and Veronica Adhiambo beat Rwanda 2-0 to finish third in the competition. Tor and Adhiambo had lost to Ghana 2-1 in the semi-finals played earlier. The men's pair of Ibrahim Oduri and James Mwaneki defeated Ghana 2-0 to win bronze. Earlier, the duo had lost to South Africa 2-0 in the semi-finals. The teams are expected back in the country tomorrow. Further afield, Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich suffered symptoms of suspected poisoning at peace talks at the Ukraine-Belarus border earlier this month. Meanwhile, Portugal will host North Macedonia in the World Cup playoffs final as Poland welcomes Sweden tonight at the Silesian Stadium.
Russian billionaire Roman Abramovich suffered symptoms of suspected poisoning at peace talks on the Ukraine-Belarus border earlier this month. Abramovich and other two Ukrainian peace negotiators were also said to have been affected. Shortly after the allegations emerged, an unnamed U.S. official was quoted by the media saying that intelligence suggested the men's symptoms were due to environmental factors and not poisoning. Later on, an official in the Ukrainian president's office said that members of the Ukrainian delegation were fine, and one had said the story was false. Elsewhere, Portugal hope to qualify for this year's 2022 World Cup in Qatar as they play North